What screams I'm economically illiterate? Not having direct registered shares. If you are keeping your investments in street name at a broker bank, it means you don't actually own anything. You're just an entry in a ledger. Your orders do not affect price. Discovery value is decided by a few firms. This is real for the American stock market. Please research. Seed & Co. owns all of your stock unless the shares are directly registered with a transfer agent by the individual. Believing that the rich actually depend on poor people staying poor. I used to believe that leg could all disappear one day, and the rich would stay rich and just cook their own meals and clean their own toilets and mow their own lawns and still have time to watch Netflix at the end of the day. I get why that makes poor people, my people, angry. Because then it's less easy to blame the rich. Ignoring that paragraph in the front of the Econ 101 text that says economics is descriptive, not prescriptive. Also, Adam Smith said capitalism applies to markets in which a plethora of buyers and a plethora of sellers meet to arrive at a mutually consensual price. This does not come close to describing a situation in which oligopolistic sellers and ultra-wealthy individuals can terrorize the national legislature. Inflation was caused by corporate greed, or corporations made profit during the pandemic. HTML text R20 analysis 20 shows 20. At 20 much, expenses 20 do 20 to 20 accommodative 20 monetary. Not being able to set up a Lagrangian and derive Marshallian demand, indirect utility, cost function, and Hicksian demand from a given utility function of the Cobb-Douglas or CES form. In addition to this, not being able to derive the DAT SAS model from both the supply and demand sides, and not being aware of the solid growth model and the Phillips curve. Did I miss anything? To me, this is a personal one. Trying to live on your own when your job pays minimum wage. Like, really, you're going to spend $1,200 a month rather than $600 a month just because you don't want to share a bit of space. On top of that, when they live in a double apartment by themselves, and they own multiple cars they bought brand new. There was a survey done in the last year or so, asking Americans whether they thought the current unemployment rate was a 50-year high or a 50-year low. A substantial fraction thought it was a 50-year high. Most people are totally unfamiliar with the actual economy and instead have beliefs driven by news headlines. I mean, people will literally scream it pretty readily right now. Like, if you bring out metrics they don't like, or that count for their narrative, then they get very upset. They don't bring in alternate metrics or objective facts about the economy. They just say that you don't understand, and then stop talking to you, lol. Routinely buying lottery tickets. If it's a huge jackpot, and statistically, on average in the long run, you get more of a payout after taxes than you'd pay in. But don't go through life believing that you're just overdue to win. Meanwhile, thank you for lowering my tax burden somewhat. My co-workers not wanting a promotion and 20,000 raise because supervisors don't work overtime, and they can work the equivalent of 3 full extra months of overtime and make slightly more than them. This isn't a post-interview cope because they didn't get the job either. These guys don't even apply. Calling for deflation in response to the recent inflation. Inflation is uncomfortable. Deflation to any significant degree is ruinous. The ideal is that we slow inflation down, so we can grow out of it. Edit also belief in the gold standard despite not reading anything about its history. LOL. People who say that a president creates jobs. Everyone who's ever said this to me says it like they know what the fuck they're talking about. And yet they never studied economics. I have no idea how it works at all. But so many people say this, or that president created jobs. Still believing trickle-down economics actually benefits anyone who isn't part of the upper class. Stockman was right. It's just horse and sparrow theory. The idea that feeding a horse a huge amount of oats will result in some of the feed passing through for lucky sparrows to eat. I was at a lunch with my sister and her children. My nephew was arguing with his mom that they should still go on vacation, Screw fixing their only car and mode of transportation. My sister said no. Nephew was mad and said that's why we have you be he's 21. Anyone with a single home who's pleased about soaring property prices. Thank God I invested in the housing market when I did. You didn't invest, dumbass. That's a roof over your head. It's a basic necessity. Now you will never, ever be able to afford anything better. Not investing in my pyramid scheme, you. Yes, you who are not like this dumbass, you who know how to invest, how to win in life, contact me for this extremely great opportunity for me to take your money. People that fall for this kind of things. I overheard a woman at the grocery store the other day blame Biden for the current price of carrots. Of course, if Biden proposed a bill to either raise wages or lower the price of goods, that same woman would be bitching about socialism. Having a low credit score because of an irrational fear of credit cards. A lot of people think that every purchase made on a credit card immediately begins accruing interest and costs them more than using a debit card. Gestures broadly at anti-work and similar subreddits. For those about to get up in arms, those subs are utterly rife with disinformation targeted at people already disillusioned with the current economic systems. Every single TikTok social media guru headline repeated, but no actions ever taken. 401,000 SR scam and will be worthless. Need to have multiple Airbnbs to retire. It's all about Section 8. Etc. Fucking Porsche, Beamer, Tesla, or whatever stupid-ass luxury car. Cars are the most unbelievably bad investment. But people throw extra money at them for some silver fucking trim and a wood shift knob, professing that the current president is responsible for the economy, when in actuality, the president has very little to effect on it, especially the global economy of which we are very much tied to. I am libertarian. Also, anyone who says minimum wage increases affect local prices. One of the basic rules of economics is that medians are important, not minimums and maximums or even means. Thinking you can just mandate wealth into existence, as if all Africa needs to do is raise its minimum wages and mandate good working conditions to done now they're all rich, give your head a shake. Thinking that tax write-offs actually make some things free. I had an old boss that would constantly say since it was a write-off, what he was getting was free, even though he just spent $500 on it. Always talking about hustling for money. Sinking 100 hours into making $103.18 is not great results. Tom, also, buying that gold bar from Costco will not stop your wife from leaving you. Supporting things like universal health care, minimum wage policies, government intervention in the market, government welfare programs, or that anything be provided free from the government. Trying to tell people it doesn't matter that several hundreds of thousand people immigrate into your country every year will have no effect on your housing market and social systems. Thinking a tax break is the same thing as government giving money to a company, and or thinking the money lost on the tax break would still be there if the tax break wasn't given. Losing roughly 80 meters on poor investments, and being forced to go on C-list reality shows to make up for the lost money, or maintaining a nasty superiority complex. Fuck you to. What screams being economically illiterate? Being any of the following. 1. Fascist. 2. Nazi. 3. Socialist. 4. Communist. 5. Syndicalist. 6. The anarchist version of any of the above. Thinking your social security tax is safe for you to later use in retirement. Nah. Goes to pay boomers now, and you are hoping one day young kids will get tax for you. Anyone promoting the idea that tax cuts for billionaires will feed the hungry, heal the sick, house the homeless, or in any way improve the lot of Joe Schmo, blaming other people or things for their financial problems. In most cases, people made their own mess. Blaming others doesn't identify the real root cause. Obsession with government debt, spending, etc. Ignorance of the role of the state in the very existence of a money economy. Nobel Prize in Economics. etc. Lottery, gambling, crypto participation. Yeah, sure, some people do really well with that. Most struggle to get back even a fraction of what they put in. The relationship between supply, demand, and price is fundamental economic knowledge. If they can't grasp that, they would be considered illiterate. Thinking capitalism is bad while it is factually the only system that has consistently driven the masses out of poverty anywhere it has been tried. The number of people who do not know the difference between personal finance and economics is actually pretty concerning. Looking at the comments. Spending more than you own. Taking loans to spend more than you own. Prioritizing spending more instead of paying off the loans with interest. Trading in a car you still owe money on to buy a new one. Anyone who does this should become a ward of the state and be put on an allowance. Anyone who believes in supply-side economics, or anyone who raises the question, if we increase taxes, what is my incentive to work hard? Millionaires lecturing poor people how it's all about your attitude and mindset. As if the landlord will accept attitude as rent payment. The government can't go bankrupt. The minimum wage should be ... From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. Confusing socialism with communism. Anytime sometimes think socialism is communism. I know it's already a lost cause to argue with them. Well, it's personal finance. But I'm still gonna say it because it annoys me so much people who lease a car and thinks it's good value.